Winter 1793. In a coffee warehouse beside the Loire River, in the French city of Nantes, thousands of prisoners are packed together. There isn't room, the air is rotten, and one by one, these people begin to fall dead. No wound, no executioner, just sickening and dying by the thousands in the dark. And here is the question I want you to hold on to until the very end. What really killed that crowd locked inside, and why did their deaths end up unleashing something even worse? Because what the city authorities discovered did not lead them to save those prisoners. It led them to decide something monstrous. And to understand it, we have to correct one thing first. Maybe you came here looking for a legend. A poisoned bell, a medieval banquet where every guest drops dead at once. I'm going to be completely honest with you because this channel lives on that. There is no solid historical source documenting that banquet or that bell in medieval Nantes. It doesn't appear in the archives, it doesn't appear in the serious chronicles. At best, it's a story with no evidence behind it. But there is a real mass death in Nantes. Documented, verified, and it is infinitely more disturbing than any invented bell. Stay with me, because this actually happened. Let's go back. During the era of the Revolution, Nantes was one of the richest cities in France. Set on the Loire River, about 50 kilometers from the Atlantic coast, it was a great hub of trade and transatlantic travel. With a population of 90,000, Nantes was the second most important city on France's western coast, behind only Bordeaux. A prosperous city, and yet it was about to become a mass grave. The problem began with war. The epidemic unfolds against the backdrop of the war in the Vendée, which from March and April of 1793 causes a huge concentration of prisoners in Nantes, far exceeding the city's capacity to hold them. The figures cited range from 12,000 to 20,000 prisoners. 12,000, 20,000, in a city with nowhere to put them. And here comes the first twist, because what happened next was not an execution. It was something quieter, more treacherous. They crammed them all together. No hygiene, no space, not enough food. And in those conditions, the invisible enemy moved in. Typhus. These factors were made worse in Nantes by the number of dead left unburied in the streets, bodies the dogs came to devour. Stop on that image for a second. Corpses in the streets, dogs, a rich city drowning in pestilence. And this is where the story turns toward the worst of it. Because when the men in charge of the city realized what was happening, they did not think first of the prisoners. They thought of themselves. The losses recorded among the guards, the medical staff, the nurses, even the judges, spread terror among the revolutionary officials. The fear of losing their advantage and pushed them to the worst. The worst? What could be worse than an epidemic? This, rather than die of the disease alongside their political prisoners, they chose to massacre them. There it is. The mass death did not come from disease alone, it came from a decision. And to carry it out, a man arrived from Paris. His name was Jean-Baptiste. And the unsettling thing is that he did not look like a monster. When Carrier first arrived in Nantes, there was nothing about him that betrayed a killer of thousands. He had been born in Yolet, a village in the Upper Auvergne, on the 16th of March, 1756, the son of a tenant farmer. He worked in a law office in Paris until the revolution broke out, a small-town lawyer. And now listen to what he did with those people locked away. Since shooting and guillotining so many was slow, they looked for a faster method. And they found it in the very river that had made the city rich. To speed up the mass execution of the prisoners, they turned to drownings in the Loire. The victims were taken from their prisons, above all from the one in the coffee warehouse, and brought to boats. The vessels were then deliberately sunk, boats rigged to sink, with people inside. The first drownings took place on the night of the 16th of November, 1793. The victims were 160 Catholic priests, known as the refractory clergy, who had been arrested in the region. And here comes another detail that doesn't fit, another step down. There were witnesses, and what they heard is not something you forget. He described hearing the desperate cries of the drowning men, cries that woke his companions, who heard the same thing, and the silence that came after they died in the Loire. The silence afterward. Think about that. And how many people? Here the numbers make your head spin, and that is part of the horror. There were so many that no one managed to count them precisely. The exact number of victims may range from 1,800 to 4,800, with some sources raising it to 10,000. But remember, not all of them drowned. Many were already dying beforehand in the prisons. The combined toll is devastating. In February of 1794, because of the drownings, the shootings, on top of the cold, the hunger and the typhus, only a few of the 8,000 to 9,000 people imprisoned in the warehouse escaped death. Out of 8,000 or 9,000, only a few. That is the real tally of the Nantes mass death, and Carrier himself, with a coldness that freezes you, had a name for the river-turned graveyard. Before the drownings stopped, 4,000 people or more, including innocent families with women and children, died in what Carrier himself called the National Bathtub. The National Bathtub. Entire families. One letter denounces a drowning said to have killed 41 people. 2 men, among them a blind old man of 78, 12 women, 12 girls and 15 children, 10 of them between 6 and 10 years old, and 5 infants. 5 nursing babies. There is no bell. There is no secret poison in a cup. There is something worse, a human decision, made in cold blood in a rich city, against its own defenseless people. So let's go back to the question from the beginning. What killed that crowd locked inside? The honest answer is that 2 things killed them at once, and that is the darkest part. The first was typhus, the disease born of overcrowding. The second was the fear the powerful felt of that very disease. When they understood that it wasn't only the prisoners dying, but also their own jailers, doctors and judges, they chose extermination over contagion. The epidemic was not the massacre. It was the pretext for the massacre. And the river that had made Nantes rich, the same one that carried the coffee and the Atlantic trade, became the tomb of thousands of people whose cries, according to the witnesses, faded on a winter's night until only silence remained. There was no poisoned bell. There never was. But what truly happened in Nantes needs no legends to steal your sleep.